Okay, I need everyone to just stop what they're doing for a second. Put down the coffee, pull the car over. Well, don't actually pull over if you're driving. That's dangerous. But, mentally pull over.
Yeah.
Because we need to talk about a number.
It is a very, very large number.
Large. Large is like the number of steps I took yesterday. This number it's a glitch. It feels like a glitch in the simulation. I looked at my phone this morning, February 11th, 2026, and I saw it. $600 billion.
It's a profound amount of money.
Profound. It's not profound. It's hilarious.
Yeah.
It's like a cartoon number.
Yeah.
I honestly thought my news app was broken. I was like tapping the screen thinking, is this a typo?
Right.
Because that is not a bank account balance. That is the GDP of a medium-sized European country. That is all by a continent if I'm bored on a Tuesday money.
It has certainly reshaped the geopolitical landscape money. To put it in perspective, that number is roughly the entire GDP of Poland. Or Argentina.
Yeah.
In the hands of one human being.
One guy. We are talking about exactly one guy. Elon Musk. As of this week, he is officially the first person in history to cross the $600 billion net worth mark.
And if you look at the trajectory, the speed, he's basically knocking on the door of the trillionaire club way faster than anyone anticipated. The velocity of this wealth accumulation is what's truly unprecedented. It's just vertical.
It's absolutely wild. And here's the thing that really threw me, because I kind of tuned out the financial news for a little bit there in 2025.
It happens.
I was busy. I assumed this was all because of Tesla. The cars. Everyone drives a Tesla now. I see them everywhere. So I figured, okay, he sold a bunch of Cybertrucks. But that's not it, is it?
Not even close. I mean, Tesla is still a huge piece of the pie, don't get me wrong. It's a massive company.
Sure.
But the engine driving this sudden, massive vertical spike in his wealth, it's not electric cars. It's rockets. And chatting robots.
Rockets and chatting robots. Of course it is. Because why keep things simple?
Right.
Why just sell a sedan when you can sell a ticket to Mars?
Specifically, it's this massive valuation surge of SpaceX and this incredibly controversial, record-breaking merger with his AI company, XAI.
Which is exactly what we are unpacking today. Because I have so many questions. I want to know how a private company that, basically just blows things up in the sky, sometimes on purpose, sometimes by accident.
Controlled explosion.
A controlled explosion. How is that suddenly worth more than Boeing and Lockheed Martin combined? I want to know about this merger that sounds like a sci-fi plot, something about a sentient sun.
Oh, we will absolutely get to the sentient sun. It is as wild as it sounds.
And I really want to talk about the awkward elephant in the room, the government money elephant, because isn't he running the Department of Government Efficiency now, the DOGE?
That is the role. He is the cutter-in-chief.
He's trying to cut spending, right? While being the guy who seemingly took the most government spending, it feels like a prank.
It is a layered cake of irony, and today we're going to slice right through it.
Okay, good. So, mission statement for this deep dive. We're figuring out how we got to $600 billion, why SpaceX is suddenly the financial ruler of the universe, and whether this whole AI and space thing is genius or just a really, really expensive way to hide a bailout.
I think that's a perfect summary.
All right, let's start with the number, the big 600. How does a human being make $160 billion in a single day? Because I read that somewhere. His wealth jumped by that much basically overnight.
It did.
Did he find a winning lottery ticket on Mars? Did you look under the couch cushions and find a small country's economy?
In a way, yes, but we have to clarify something immediately because I think people visualize this wrong. They picture a vault, like Scrooge McDuck diving into gold coins.
I 100% picture the gold coins. I picture him doing the backstroke in doubloons, wearing a little top hat.
Right, and it's a great image, but Musk doesn't have $600 billion in cash. He can't walk into a Starbucks and buy. Well, he could buy the Starbucks Corporation, actually.
Yeah, could, yeah.
But he couldn't pay for a latte with $1 billion bill from his wallet. This is paper wealth.
Okay, let's unpack paper wealth. We hear this term a lot with billionaires. It sounds fake, like monopoly money, but clearly it buys real things like islands and social media networks. So how does it actually work in this specific case?
Think of it like this. Imagine you own a really, really rare Pokemon card. Let's say a first edition holographic Charizard.
A classic. The holy grail of the playground. I wish I still had mine.
The absolute classic.
Yeah.
Now, imagine you bought it for like $10 years ago at a garage sale. You put it in a sleeve, you threw it in your drawer. But today, a bunch of rich collectors get together in a private room, a very smoky, expensive room, and they look at the market. And they decide, hey, We think that specific Charizard card is now worth $1 million.
Okay, I'm rich. Drinks are on me. I'm buying the bar.
On paper, you are rich on paper. You still just have the piece of cardboard in a plastic sleeve. You don't have $1 million in your bank account until you actually sell the card. But, and this is the key, everyone now treats you like a millionaire. You can borrow money from the bank using the card as collateral. You have the influence of a millionaire. That is essentially what happened to Musk, but on a galactic scale.
So the collectors in this scenario are the private investors.
Precisely. We have to look at the timeline here because this all happened so fast. SpaceX is a private company, meaning you can't just go on Robinhood or E-Trade and buy a share.
You gotta know the guy.
Yeah, no guy. So in December 2025, there was an insider share sale. Basically, private investors, venture capitalists, sovereign wealth funds, the people who own the world, were trading slices of the company among themselves. And they decided the company was worth about $800 billion.
$800 billion. For a private company, that is just insane. That's bigger than most public companies.
It is historic. It made SpaceX the most valuable private company of all time. But then, just a few months later, basically now, February 2026, this new merger deal with XAI gets announced, and the valuation gets repriced again.
Oh, wow.
Now, the combined empire is being valued at $1.25 trillion.
Trillion, with a T.
With a capital T. And here is the real kicker. Musk owns about 42% of SpaceX.
Wait, 42%? That's almost half.
Yeah.
Usually founders get diluted down to almost nothing. You watch The Social Network, and by the end, they own 5% or something?
Exactly. That is a massive stake for a company of that size and maturity. Musk has been completely obsessed with maintaining control. He has fought tooth and nail to keep that percentage high so he stays in charge.
And it paid off.
Oh, it paid off.
Yeah.
So do the math. 42% of $1.25 trillion. Every time that valuation number jumps, his personal net worth just skyrockets. He didn't do anything different that day. He didn't sell a rocket that morning. The collectors just decided his card was worth way, way more.
It is wild to think that number is just sitting there attached to his name. But you mentioned something interesting earlier. You said he's cash poor. I remember when he bought Xterra. He had to actually sell Tesla stock, right?
Exactly. That's the danger of paper wealth. It's all tied up. It's illiquid. To buy Twitter, he had to sell the furniture, so to speak.
Right.
He had to sell actual shares of Tesla to get the cold, hard cash to hand over. And that's a painful process because it dilutes his ownership and it totally freaks out the stock market.
Oh, I remember the Tesla stock tanking when that happened.
Yeah.
The shareholders were not happy.
They were furious, but now the center of gravity in his empire has shifted. For years, Musk was the car guy.
Yep.
Tesla was the golden goose. It was the source of his money, his fame. It was the battery pack of his empire.
Right. I still think of him as the car guy.
Yeah.
The Cybertruck guy. The guy who smashed the window on stage.
Well, you need to update your mental contact card for him because as of 2026, SpaceX now accounts for more than half of his total wealth.
Really? More than the cars?
Way more. Tesla stock has been a bit of a roller coaster. It goes up, it goes down. It has to fight with Chinese EV makers who are aggressively cutting prices. It's a brutal, brutal market.
Sure.
But SpaceX, it has been a straight lineup. It's a rocket ship on a financial chart, literally, if you look at the graphs. SpaceX is doing all the heavy lifting now. He is the rocket guy who also happens to make cars on the side.
That is a massive shift in identity. Okay, so if SpaceX is the new golden goose, we need to understand why. Because I get Tesla. You sell a car, you make money. Simple. I buy a Model 3, you get $40,000. But SpaceX, I know they launch rockets, but how does launching rockets make you a $1 trillion company?
Yeah.
Are they charging aliens for parking? What is the actual business model here?
No aliens yet, though knowing Musk, that's probably in the pitch deck for 2050, intergalactic valet service.
I'd invest in that.
But really, SpaceX isn't just one business. It's two businesses kind of trench-coated together, pretending to be one.
Two businesses in a trench coat trying to get into an R-rated movie. I love it.
What are they? Trucks and Wi-Fi.
Trucks and Wi-Fi. Okay, you're going to have to explain that. Because when I think space, I don't think trucks.
So let's break it down. You have launch services and you have Starlink. Let's look at the trucks first. That's the rockets, the Falcon 9. We have to understand how fundamentally broken the space industry was before this. For decades, it was just incredibly wasteful. Imagine if you flew a Boeing 747 from New York to London.
Okay, nice flight across the Atlantic. I'm watching a movie, eating some peanuts.
You land at Heathrow, everyone gets off, you grab your bags, and then The pilot and the crew walk away, and they take the 747 and they just push it into the ocean.
They sink it.
They sink it. Or they crash it into a mountain. And for the flight back to New York, they build a brand new one from scratch.
That would be a very expensive plane ticket. That's like $1 million for a coach seat.
That was the space industry. You build a rocket, you launch it, it burns up in the atmosphere, or it crashes into the ocean. Gone. Hundreds of millions of dollars of exquisite engineering. Just poof. Musk's whole obsession was reusability. He wanted to land the plane.
And he did. I still watch those videos of the boosters landing. It never gets old. It looks like CGI every single time. When two of them land side by side, it looks like a sci-fi movie.
It does. But financially, it's not just cool. It's devastating for his competitors. Because SpaceX can land the booster, refuel it, wipe off the soot, and fly it again. Their internal launch cost is about $62 million per flight.
Okay, $62 million. Is that good? It still sounds like a lot of money to me. I definitely don't have $62 million.
Well, compare it to the old guard. The competitors using the throw the plane in the ocean method companies like ULA or the European space agencies, they were charging upwards of $400 million for a similar launch capability.
Oof. So he's roughly 1/6 of the price.
Exactly. And the reliability is insane now. The Falcon 9 has flown something like over 300 times with a 99% success rate. So if you are a satellite company or the government or anyone who wants to put something in space, why would you pay $400 million when you can pay $60 million for a ride that is statistically safer?
You just wouldn't. You'd be fired if you did.
Yeah.
Your boss would look at you like, do you hate money?
Precisely. So SpaceX has developed a near monopoly on the trucking business of getting stuff to space. They have commoditized the commute to orbit. But, and here's the real kicker, the trucking business is peanuts compared to the Wi-Fi business.
The Wi-Fi business being Starlink.
Starlink. This is the cash cow. This is the money printer. This is the gooseling, the golden egg.
I see the little dishes on roofs sometimes. And I know people in rural areas who absolutely love it. But is it really that big of a deal? Is it bigger than the rockets?
It is massive. By early 2026, we are looking at something like 9 million users globally.
9 million. That's a lot of monthly subscription fees.
9 million. And they have about 9,500 satellites in orbit. Basically, Musk looked at the Earth and said, I'm going to wrap this entire planet in a router blanket.
A router blanket. That sounds cozy and slightly dystopic at the same time. Snuggle up with the internet?
It is extremely profitable. In 2024 alone, Starlink made $7.7 billion. That was 58% of SpaceX's total revenue.
Wow.
By 2026, some projections are saying it could be $15 billion or more, and the margins are great. Think about it. Once the satellite is up there, adding a new subscriber is pure profit. It costs them almost nothing to flip the switch for one more user in Nebraska or Nigeria.
It's like Netflix. Once the movie's on the server, it doesn't cost them anything if I watch it 1 million times.
Exactly. And it's not just for rural farmers, right? That's the big misconception. People think, oh, it's for people who live in the woods. The real money is in premium users, airlines, cruise ships, the military.
Oh, right. Internet on planes used to be so bad, you'd pay $20 to watch a loading circle spin for 4 hours.
And it was expensive for the airlines to install. SpaceX charges huge money for their aviation contracts. We're talking something like $300,000 average revenue per user for those big commercial setups. So they're dominating the maritime and aviation sectors.
So it's a flywheel.
It is. You have the trucks, the launches, which give them cheap access to space, which allows them to build the Wi-Fi Starlink cheaper than anyone else could ever dream of.
One feeds the other.
It's a fortress. And the reason nobody can catch them is a concept called vertical integration.
Okay, business buzzword alert. Unpack vertical integration for me. It sounds like something a consultant charges you $5,000 just to say.
It just means they make everything themselves. Most aerospace companies are integrators. They buy the engine from company A, the computer from company B, the metal from company C, and then they just bolt it all together.
Like building a Lego set where you buy all the bricks from different stores?
Right. And every one of those stores marks up the price. The engine guy wants a profit. The computer guy wants a profit. SpaceX said, no, we're going to build the factory that makes the bricks. There is this famous story about a radio.
Or a radio.
In the early days, Musk needed a radio unit for the rocket, just a simple transponder. The traditional aerospace suppliers quoted him $100,000.
For a radio. Does it play music from the future? Does it get channels from other dimensions?
It's a ruggedized space radio, sure, but still.
Right.
Musk looked at it, looked at the components, basic electronics, chips, plastic, and said, This is nonsense. He told his engineers, go to Best Buy, buy the parts, and build it yourselves. I'm exaggerating slightly, but not by much.
Okay.
They built a radio for $5,000.
From 100,000 down to 5,000, that's a 95% discount.
That is vertical integration. It's like baking a cake, but you also grew the wheat, you milked the cow, and you built the oven yourself. It's a huge pain to set up, but once you do, your cake costs 10 cents and everyone else's cake costs $10.
And now he's selling the cake for $5 and making a killing, while everyone else goes bankrupt trying to match his price.
Exactly. That is the secret sauce.
Okay, so that all makes sense. You have cheap rockets, you have space internet, you make everything in-house. It sounds like the perfect capitalist success story. Pull yourself up by your bootstraps, build a rocket in your backyard, become a trillionaire.
Well,
I hear a but coming. A big but. The kind of but that ruins a party.
there is a very large $38 billion bet coming.
$38 billion, that's a lot of buts.
Because for all this talk of private enterprise and doing it ourselves, the foundation of Elon Musk's entire empire is cemented with U.S. government tax dollars.
This brings us to the irony section of the show.
Yeah.
Because again, it is February 2026. Musk is head of the Department of Government Efficiency, the DOGE.
Yes.
He is slashing budgets. He is firing bureaucrats. He is posting memes about how the government wastes money and how all subsidies are evil.
Correct. He is the ultimate budget hawk right now. He is the grim reaper of government spending. And yet
his companies have received at least $38 billion in government contracts, subsidies, and loans over the years.
$38 billion. That is some real efficiency.
It's certainly efficient for him. Look, we have to be fair here. We can't just throw stones. A lot of that number is contracts. NASA pays SpaceX to deliver cargo to the space station. That's a service.
Okay.
It's like paying FedEx. It's not free money. They did the work. But the timing of some of that money is where it gets really interesting.
Tell me about the timing. Was it convenient?
Convenient is an understatement. Let's go back to 2008, the Great Recession. The world financial system is melting down.
Right.
SpaceX and Tesla are both basically broke. Musk is running on fumes. He's divorced. He's sleeping on friends' couches. Well, rich friends' couches, probably really nice leather couches. But still, he is liquidating all his assets.
The drama era, the behind-the-music moment, the Christmas miracle. That's what they call it in the company lore. Days before Christmas 2008, SpaceX was running out of cash. They had enough money for maybe a week or two. If they didn't get funding, they were done. Padlocked doors.
Wow.
Then, at the very last second, NASA calls. They award SpaceX a $1.6 billion contract to resupply the International Space Station.
So NASA basically saved the entire company.
100%. Without that single contract, there is no SpaceX today. There is no Starlink. There is no Mars mission. It was a lifeline thrown to a drowning swimmer.
And Tesla. Did they get a lifeline too?
Same story, different government agency. 2010. Tesla is struggling to build the Model S. They get a $465 million low-interest loan from the Department of Energy.
Oh, yeah, I remember that.
That money built the factory. Now, he did pay it back with interest ahead of schedule. But without that loan, Tesla likely goes under or gets sold for scraps.
So the guy who wants to cut government spending was saved by government spending.
Twice.
At least twice. And then you have the regulatory credits hustle. The hustle. I love a good hustle. What is this one? It sounds like a dance move.
It's a brilliant financial dance move. This is amazing, honestly. Governments want less pollution, right? So they tell car companies, you need to sell a certain percentage of electric cars. If you don't, you get fined.
Okay. That makes sense. A classic carrot and stick.
Well, back in the day, Ford and GM and Chrysler didn't have enough electric cars. They were still making gas guzzlers. But Tesla, that's all they make. So Tesla earns these pollution credits. They have piles of them, way more than they need. So the government allows them to sell their extra credits to Ford and GM.
Wait, hold on. So Ford pays Tesla so that Ford doesn't get fined by the government.
Exactly. Tesla has made over $11 billion selling these credits since 2014. For a very long time, Tesla actually lost money on selling the actual cars, the metal and the glass, but turned a profit because of these credits. Essentially, their competitors were subsidizing Tesla's existence.
That is hilarious. Here, take my money so I don't get in trouble, while you use that money to build better cars to eventually beat me.
It's the ultimate hustle. But it brings us right back to the paradox. You have Musk running the DOGE, criticizing all subsidies, saying get rid of them, while he's standing on a mountain of cash that was built in large part by those same subsidies.
It's awkward. It's like complaining about people who eat the free samples at Costco while you have a pocket full of tiny hot dogs.
It is awkward.
Yeah.
But the counter argument, and Musk would say this and his defenders would say this, is that the government got a good deal. They saved billions of dollars because SpaceX is so much cheaper than the old options. They invested in a risky startup, and it paid off massively for the American taxpayer.
So it was a symbiotic relationship.
Mutually beneficial, yes, but definitely ironic given the current /everything rhetoric.
Okay, so we have the wealth, the business model, the government backing. Now we need to talk about the headlines. The big news from this month, February 2026, the mega merger, SpaceX and XAI.
This is where it gets really interesting and a little controversial.
First off, just remind me what XAI is. I lose track of all the AI companies. Is that the one with Grok, the chatbot that has a sassy attitude?
Yes, Grok is the product. XAI is Musk's answer to OpenAI and Google. He started it because he thought the other AIs were too woke or not, seeking the truth of the universe. He wanted a based AI.
Right, the truth-seeking robot. So why merge it with a rocket company? I mean, I have a Roomba, but I don't tape it to my car. What do ChatGPT and Mars have to do with each other? It seems totally random.
On the surface, it's oil and water, but Musk's official pitch is orbital data centers.
Orbital data centers. Okay, define that, because I'm picturing a server room just floating in zero-G.
That is exactly what it is. Think about what AI needs. It needs two things above all else: massive amounts of electricity and massive amounts of cooling. These computers get incredibly hot.
Right. My laptop burns my legs if I open too many tabs. It sounds like a jet engine is taking off.
Exactly. Now imagine a supercomputer the size of a building. It consumes a whole city's worth of power. We are actually running out of power on the grid for these things. Data centers are drinking entire rivers dry just for cooling.
Wow.
Musk's argument is, on Earth, power is hard to get, land is expensive, and environmental regulations are annoying. But in space,
Let me guess.
the sun shines 24/7, unlimited solar power, no clouds, and space is very, very cold, unlimited cooling.
So he wants to put the server farms in space.
Yes, launch them up on starships, park them in orbit, and blast the data back and forth using the Starlink laser network. He calls it creating a sentient sun.
The sentient sun. Okay, that sounds like a sci-fi villain plot. I shall build a brain in the sky.
Yeah.
Sounds like the prequel to The Matrix or something.
It does have a certain Bond villain ring to it, I'll give you that. But from a pure physics standpoint, it's not impossible. It's just incredibly, incredibly expensive and difficult.
But is that the real reason for the merger? Or is there a more cynical financial reason? Because usually when billionaires merge things, it's about money, not science fiction.
Ah, the cynical reason. I see you are learning. This is exactly what the critics like Nils Pratley from The Guardian are pointing out. They are calling this a bailout.
A bailout. Who is bailing out whom?
Look at the financials of the two companies. SpaceX is a beast. It has real revenue. It has government contracts. It is profitable.
Right.
XAI. It's a startup. It is burning billions and billions of dollars to buy computer chips and train models. It has very little revenue compared to its insane costs. It's basically lighting money on fire to stay warm.
So it's the broke sibling with an expensive habit.
It's the broke sibling with a very expensive taste. And it's competing against Google and Microsoft, who have basically infinite money. So the theory is that XAI might not survive on its own, or at least it would be very hard to raise money at the valuation Musk wants. But if you merge it with SpaceX...
SpaceX pays the bills.
SpaceX pays all the bills. It's like forcing your successful straight-A student child to do the homework for your wild partying child.
Hey, you need to share your allowance with your brother.
Exactly. And the parents in this analogy, the other investors, I'm guessing they aren't too happy about this.
If I was an investor in SpaceX, I'd be furious.
Some of them are. Imagine you invested in SpaceX 5 years ago. You wanted rockets. You wanted Mars. You did not sign up for a risky AI war with Google. And you certainly didn't sign up for the baggage of X, the social media platform, which is also kind of tangentially involved here.
Right, because everything is connected in the Muskverse.
Yeah.
It's all one big spaghetti bowl of company.
Exactly. Minority shareholders are looking at this deal and saying, wait, you're diluting my valuable rocket shares to pay for your money-losing chatbot. But because Musk controls the voting rights, he has about 79% voting control of SpaceX. He can basically do whatever he wants.
79% voting control. So it's a dictatorship, basically.
A corporate monarchy, yes. If Elon wants to merge the rocket company with a bagel shop, he could probably make it happen. Space bagels.
I would buy a space bagel. But I get the point. So this merger revalues everything at one point $25 trillion. And that's the number that pushes his personal wealth over the $600 billion mark.
Correct. It consolidates his entire empire into one massive innovation engine, as he calls it.
Okay, so we have this behemoth now, a $1 trillion Franken company of rockets and robots.
Yeah.
And rumors are swirling that this is all leading up to the big event, the IPO.
The initial public offering. The holy grail for Wall Street.
When can I buy stock? That's what everyone wants to know. When can regular people like me buy a piece of this?
The word on the street, and from sources like Time Checks and Sacra, is mid to late 2026.
So later this year.
Potentially. And the target valuation they are whispering about is $1.5 trillion at IPO.
$1.5 trillion. That would make it bigger than basically everything.
It would be bigger than Boeing, Lockheed Martin, and Northrop Grumman combined. It would instantly be one of the biggest, most important companies on Earth. It would be an index fund essential.
But is it just a regular company? Because the way you describe it, controlling space travel, controlling internet from space, controlling AI, it sounds more like a utility.
That is exactly the term that experts are starting to use. Sovereign utility.
Sovereign utility. That sounds serious. Can you unpack that concept for me?
Think about your water company or your electric grid. You don't really have a choice, do you? You need water, so you pay the water company. Investors are starting to see SpaceX like that. They control the physical internet of space. If you want to launch a satellite, you have to pay Musk. If you want internet in the middle of the ocean, you have to pay Musk. If you want to go to the moon, you pay Musk.
So he owns the toll road to the stars.
He owns the toll road, the asphalt plant that paves it, and the cars driving on it.
That sounds incredibly profitable and also incredibly terrifying.
Which brings us to the risks. Because nothing is bulletproof. Even a $1 trillion company has cracks in the armor.
What could go wrong? I mean, he seems unstoppable at this point.
Well, the same government that made him could also break him. Antitrust.
The monopoly police.
Exactly. If you own 60 or 70% of all the mass launched into orbit, which SpaceX basically does, the government might start to get nervous. They don't like single points of failure. If SpaceX has a bad day, the entire U.S. space program has a bad day.
That's a really good point. If the Falcon 9 gets grounded for some reason, nobody goes to space.
Right. So there's regulatory risk. Then there is competition. China is not sitting still. They are building their own mega constellations. They want their own Starlink. And Amazon has Project Hyper. Jeff Bezos is finally starting to launch his satellites.
The battle of the billionaires. Bezos versus Musk.
And then, of course, there is the key man risk.
Which is a polite way of saying, what if Elon does something crazy?
Essentially. The entire valuation of this thing is tied to his personal vision. If he gets bored or distracted or, I don't know, goes to Mars and decides not to come back, the stock could collapse. The Elon premium is a very real thing.
It is wild how much of the global economy now seems to rest on the mood swings of one guy.
It's unprecedented. We really haven't seen anything like this since maybe the Gilded Age with Rockefeller or Carnegie. But even they didn't have rockets.
Rockefeller didn't have a laser internet network. He just had oil. Okay, so let's wrap this up. We've gone from $600 billion to paper wealth, to the rocket business model, the government cash infusion, the controversial merger, and the future IPO.
A pretty wild ride.
It really is. So bottom line, Elon Musk is this $600 billion man. He's aiming for trillionaire status. He's building a sun-powered AI computer in space, and he basically owns the future infrastructure of humanity.
That's the summary. And the wildest part is the math, surprisingly, actually checks out.
It checks out. But it leaves me with one final thought.
Yeah.
You mentioned that sovereign utility idea. If SpaceX becomes the only way to get internet in remote places, the only way to launch things, the only way to do heavy AI computing,
Go on.
does Elon Musk technically own the off switch for the planet?
That is the $1 trillion question, isn't it? We've already seen glimpses of it. Starlink being used in geopolitical conflicts around the world. One man in Texas deciding where the internet works and where it doesn't.
It's a lot of power for a guy who posts memes at 3 a.m.
It is. And whether you think he's a savior or a supervillain, one thing is undeniable. He has built an engine that is accelerating the future. Whether we're actually ready for that future is a very different question.
Well, on that slightly terrifying note, I'm going to go look at my own bank account and weep. Maybe I can buy a fraction of a share when they go public and, retire on Mars in 2050.
I'll save you a seat on the rocket.
Perfect. Thanks for listening to The Deep Dive. We'll see you next time.